Hello and welcome to Tommy Talks TV, the place to be to build great love relationships. I'd like to start by saying a very big thank you. Thank you for all your likes and your shares and your comments on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. I really appreciate you because you're helping us spread the message further faster. So thank you very much indeed. Now today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I have titled, When a Spouse Won't Talk. Now, spouses who will not talk are one of the greatest frustrations and one of the most common frustrations actually in marriage. And I think one of the main reasons why this happens is because you will find that opposites will tend to attract. So usually you find that someone who is introverted will tend to get married to somebody who is extroverted. So the one who is extroverted will tend to talk more and the one who is introverted will tend to talk less. Now that's usually how most marriages work, and that is not necessarily a problem on its own unless the person who is introverted is extremely introverted and does not want to make the effort to communicate, because communication is crucial in a marriage. The Bible says, can two work together unless they have agreed? That's Amos 3:3. Essentially what that means is this: if you want to go on a journey together, then you've got to take time to sit down to discuss where you're going, how you want to get there, how fast you want to get there. In other words, you've got to discuss to be able to make progress in a relationship. So if you're the one in a relationship who tends not to talk, despite the fact that maybe that's how you are as a person, you need to recognize that that can be damaging to a relationship. So temperament is really crucial, and you need to understand the kind of person that you are. If you're the sort of person that does not talk, you need to remember that reliable communication is required to make progress in a marriage. So if you're in a marriage and it's like trying to build a building in a building site, and you're doing your own thing, the other person is doing their own thing, you're not talking about how you want to build, there will be absolute chaos and confusion. So you need to recognize that it's crucial for you to be able to talk in your marriage. Now, it's worth the other person who tends to be the talker understanding that people who are introverts tend to be energized by not talking, and just being quiet and on their own and reflecting, and maybe they tend to think through things themselves and try to solve problems on their own. So you both need to understand, what is going on there. But if you are the one who tends not to talk, you need to realize that it's worth talking in your relationship so that you can come to constant and consistent agreement with your spouse. Now let me say this to the other person who tends to be the talker. If you have a spouse who is an introvert and tends not to talk, you need to do everything that you can to encourage them to talk. So you should ask yourself, well, what am I like to talk to in the first place? So people who are introverts, tend not to talk a lot, and because of that, if you're constantly talking in a conversation, then they will take a step back and just leave you to go ahead with it. That's the first thing. And secondly, how do you respond when your spouse talks to you? So if you're constantly reading meanings into what they say, if you jump in and you interrupt, or if you misunderstand what they're saying, they might come to the conclusion that, well, it's safer not to talk at all. So you need to make yourself a safe place, a safe person to talk to. And another thing is this: if you're married to somebody who is an introvert, it's very important to them that you keep their confidences. So if they share with you things that are deeply important to them, and and maybe they hear these things outside, or you share them with somebody else, maybe your friends or your family, they can be deeply hurt and then decide just to keep things to themselves. So you need to make yourself a safe person to talk to. But ultimately, the onus is on the spouse who tends not to be a talker. Make up your mind to invest in your marriage. Find time, to sit down and talk to your spouse. Open up your heart. Sometimes people who are introverted, the reason why they're introverted is because they're afraid of intimacy. But you've got to realize that if you're going to build a successful marriage, then you've got to be prepared to open up and share with your spouse. Well, I hope this has helped you. If this has helped you, then please leave me a message on Facebook or Twitter. And if you've got a question you would like me to answer, then head on over to tommytalks.com/ask, and I'll answer your question next time. See you next time. Bye-bye.